Hello and welcome to the Growing in Business interview series. I'm your host, Flemming Johnson, and today I have with me Josh Cooper with CN Seamless Inc.
That's right.
Okay, well, Josh, we're going to get started with you just kind of telling me, just briefly, introducing yourself, your business, and telling us how you got started.
Sure. So I'm Josh Cooper, CEO of CN Seamless. It's play on words for making CNC, which is robotic programming, easy and seamless for everyone. So my background, I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. Was always an NC State fan and always loved engineering and doing stuff hands-on. And that's kind of what brought me into the NC State program for engineering. And that's actually where this business started with myself and my co-founders all being in the same senior design entrepreneurship class. So it was a year-long program where we were tasked with identifying a pain point that we could solve with a product within a year-long span. And so we kind of looked around and probably came up with 400 or so ideas of things that we could tackle. And Sam had worked at a steel mill previously and noticed that there were a lot of high-paid welders that were doing pretty repetitive tasks with cutting with an oxyacetylene torch on these large equipment, large machines. And it was very simple tasks that they were having to do because they were working on machines that were so big they couldn't transport them into a fab shop. And so they were having to cut on site. And that's kind of where this idea came about. And through the class, we developed two really awesome prototypes. And by the end of the class, we were working with something and getting a lot of good feedback on solving a real pain point in the industry. So after that, we decided to keep going. We all went about our separate ways to go into our respective jobs and continue with grad school. And finally, in the last year or so, we've developed and released our MVP and gotten into the field. And so from there, we've really taken off and have dived into this thing full time.
So it started as an idea in college, and um, as you say, you went your separate ways. So what inspired you to actually start a business?
So I had always known that I had some family members that had started their own business, and I had heard all of the stories of them being able to do their own thing, and it just kind of felt mysterious to me in a way. And being in an engineering family, there's a lot of design, and you go through school, and then you go into your corporate job, and you kind of go and climb the ladder there and get your experience that way. But it was really that class at NC State that really kind of flipped the switch for me, and um, talking about all the different things that you could do if you were owning your own business. And while it might be stressful and there's obviously pros and cons, it was seeing all of the different possibilities. And, I have always had pretty high confidence in myself and thinking that I can take on something like starting a business. That challenge is very daunting, but it felt like something that we could, really attempt. And so far has been pretty solid. So I'd say that just having that class and having the resources around me and like examples and watching Shark Tank and all that stuff, that it was the mystery that got it for me.
So how long have you been in business?
So we incorporated in 2022. And so it's been a little bit over, it's probably been about a year and a half that we've been officially incorporated. And the class was like a year long before that. So we had a little bit of a startup phase there.
Okay. What would you say from that experience are some of the common misconceptions about running a business?
The misconceptions would be that you're having to figure out everything on your own, I would say. When we were first starting, it felt like we had to research everything and just use the internet and kind of go about it, just try and read books and figure out how to do this by ourselves. But we've learned that as much as we ask questions to advisors or potential even people on LinkedIn that are just posting things that, if we ask a question, have the audacity to reach out, that the community in general has been extremely accepting and very helpful to us. So I would even like our accountant will sit on the phone for us for an extra 2.5 hours. Our legal advisor has been extremely helpful and just I think everyone seems to understand more about how difficult it is to start a business, and they're willing to give you a longer leash and help you out more. And when you're telling them your story, that they get to know you, that there's going to be a lot of help along the way that you probably wouldn't expect. So definitely a lot more help than we were expecting, and certainly much appreciated.
So, in a year and a half, would you say you're still in startup phase, or have you moved beyond that?
I think we're so yeah, we don't want to be labeled as startup phase at this point because we have an industrial product that we're launching out into the field. So I would say that we're probably in between that. If I were to say like definite one, we'd probably be in the later stage of a startup.
Okay.
We haven't had a whole lot of fundraising from angel investors or VCs yet, so we're still kind of proving our product. So we're definitely still getting there to where we're not quite scaling at full capacity yet, but yeah, that's where we're at right now.
One of the things we hear a lot of discussion about for entrepreneurs is work-life balance. So tell me about that in your context.
Yes, well, luckily enough for me, my fiance is in law school, so we're both equally busy. And we don't have kids, we don't have like this a lot of responsibilities right now. So really, if we wanted to, we could really work as much as we could. So it's very important, obviously, to take the breaks. And I think the work-life balance, it's been important to know that things that are piling up are going to be there, whether you're working on them 24/7 or whether you're taking some breaks in between and enjoying yourself. So I think just kind of at first it's hard to not want to do everything all at once, but as we got into it and realized that burnout is obviously a real thing, that it's easier to postpone things and say, okay, that, like the sky's not falling, and we'll be able to address this, 6 months down the road, or we can address it right now. But either way, like we might as well maintain our mental and social health right now, and I think that's been a good thing. And like I said, big NC State fan, so thankfully I have a lot of sporting events that help me relax individually, and um, I love going to basketball, football games, and hanging out with my fiance, our friends. So that's how we try to maintain some work life balance there.
So as just moving through the startup phase and all, um, what is changing in this area and arena, and where are you kind of in the change dynamic?
Sure. Is that in our specific industries, you mean?
Yes.
Gotcha. So the a big thing that we are addressing is the labor shortages that are coming about for these workers, like welders and fabricators. I think the number from American Welding Society is 360,000 welders expected to retire in the next 4 years. And so what's happening is all of the people that are entering the trade grew up with iPhones. They grew up with, technology, being adept to using something like our machine. And so it's almost helpful to us that all of these people entering the industry and filling these new jobs, they're not as experienced, of course, because they're just getting started. And so they can use a tool like ours, which is going to advance the capabilities that they have. And at the same time, they're more used to adopting technology like ours. And so our whole unit is operated with a touchscreen tablet and very simple, easy to use interface. It just looks like an application that you would have on your phone. And the timing seems right for all this new entry into the field that need to have more precision because they aren't quite as experienced yet. And at the same time, they're ready to use technology and adopt it versus 30 years ago, if you introduced a robot that you were expecting tradesmen to use, it would be a lot more difficult to make that sell.
So it sounds like you've got two things coming together, this emerging need for more people and a tool that will not require an awful lot of training and upbuild and is also current to the types of things that they're already using. Sounds like the best of both worlds.
That's the plan. Yeah, we're bringing shops and fabricators into the 21st century as part of our tagline. So yeah, we're hoping to address that need and at the same time make people, even the skilled fabricators, it's a machine that can help them even um, create more complex cuts in the field. And there's a lot of applications for it, and that's what we're still doing right now in this phase is trying to figure out where does it best fit and how can we address the concerns of anyone that's not necessarily comfortable adopting new technology at this time. So that's definitely a challenge that we have.
Is this a replacement tool, or is it something that would be just an additional resource in a shop?
Definitely an additional resource. It's more of a companion to the fabricator welder than replacing
Okay.
what they're doing. So we're well, our one of our value adds is that we're extremely portable. So you can see the machine behind me, but
Mhm.
it's extremely compact. You can take it with you anywhere. And for those that are going off to do mobile repair or fabrication in the field, there's not really a great solution right now for them to bring something with them and still get that precision fabrication. So we'll never replace a full-size plasma table or full-size oxy-fuel cutting table. Those are just way too efficient, and the shops that can afford them and have the space for them, our product's not a replacement for that by any means. But if you're doing things like cutting beams that are super awkward, don't fit on a table, and you can mount our machine to the beam or to the workpiece, upside down, vertically, flat, it doesn't matter. Then we're able to add just additional capabilities that typically people would have had to do by hand.
Take a glimpse now into the future. What are your plans, your goals? What's that vision in front of you?
So in the near future, probably to sell as many machines as we can and just get the word out there and spread the brand around. We're hoping to sell 100 machines in 2024. But the long-term goal is we want to develop a platform of this machine and software and really take on the brand of CN Seamless and make CNC products easier across all different aspects in your shop. So that means we're going to take the software that we've developed that's just as important as the physical product that we're selling and trying to make process for creating complex parts and doing things like drilling and CNC milling and lathing and all of that and trying to make it super easy so that you don't need hours and hours of training. You don't have to be worried about if you're pressing the right button and trying to make all these different products down the road that are super easy to use for anyone to pick up, but still have that same precision and quality so that we can develop this brand of basically just bringing all the fabricators and shops into the 21st century and letting them take advantage of all the awesome technology that's out there by making it easy for everyone to use.
Very cool. What would you say um, if you were advising an aspiring entrepreneur? Based on your journey, what would you say?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but I think the audacity piece is really big. If you're willing to go out and just ask the questions, it sometimes is nerve-wracking even going out to a job site to show off our machine. We do live demonstrations for all of our customers. If you're going out to a massive corporation and they're looking at a product that you've developed in your garage or somewhere that's not as competitive, it's like every manufacturing plant starts as a garage or something like a small shop. So I think if you have that audacity, you got to go kind of walk the walk and really put yourself out there. You won't learn anything if you don't do that, and your ideas will never be criticized. You'll never be able to get out in front of the people, um, and we found that even just taking that chance and having the audacity to go show people and ask for help, see if people have connections, that we've gotten so much help along the way, and we're in such a good spot right now because we've gotten all the advice and feedback that we have. So definitely to have audacity.
That's a good word, Josh,
Thanks.
and a good place to end. Thank you for
Awesome.
your time and congratulations on your aspirations and your moving forward.
Thanks, Fleming.